get into that. Astralis is going to be starting on the defense, which means they get the 2 outside bans, the first and last one. Oxygen starts on the attack, so they get the 2 central ones.
Now we're going to have anything interesting come out here on the offensive side, ban-wise. I'm assuming we might see something like a Flores come out. This one's definitely interesting with the Lion being taken away. I think we're going to start to see a lot of more target bans coming out instead of, you know, what is great for the overarching map. Thatcher's obviously going to be one that kind of falls into that category. Lion more into the strategical basket.
It's only that too, but OXG likes to use Flores, so it's so it's not out of character for them to potentially leave that in play. Same can be said for like even like Zero on a map like this. Is another map where I think he gets a lot of play also. So no surprises as we continue on to the defensive side of things. Valkyrie, once again, she's staying consistent despite the nerf there, and probably is going to remain that way, I would imagine, for the next couple of months. And then finally, last ban is going to be Cade as well. We see quite a bit of reinforcement capability coming out from him on this map, so works to get rid of it and make things a little bit easier for Astralis on their attacking side.
Okay, so now that the rubber hits the road, what is Oxygen going to do with our attacker repick? You and I just had a fantastic series where we got to watch SSG really take it to Mirage on Bank and really show off what the capability of this new attacker repick is. And they did the same thing yesterday. If anything, they just leveled up when it came to today. So we'll have to see what Oxygen can possibly do now as they're trying to continue on their reign of terror through the NAL. They've already picked up 1 win, but looking to pick up their 2nd here today.
It's going to be the bar holds first for Astralis, meaning we'll get an immediate extension up to the 2nd floor, playing in to that power position that I talked about before. This usually going to be deployed with a deployable shield here, as well as quite a few ADSs or other forms of utility mitigation, and we'll certainly be getting that. 2 shields are available for the defense, so you can see that setup going to be going into DP Fire's position over the next few moments here, and along that, we will also see the connector inside of Library get utilized quite heavily by probably a 2nd member of Astralis also to try and fend off this pressure from OXG. They're going to want to waste as much time as possible because OXG, of course, will be bringing in that soft destruction on Foxy to be able to open up the floorboards here inside of Library and make attacking the sites down below that much of an easier job.
Kind of a decent switch up here for OXG as well. Laxing bringing in the Dokkaebi, so they'll have the capability to clear out the map pretty quickly depending on their drone position. And as you guys know, with the way that attacker repick works, it actually makes it to where the offense is almost, given more of the map if they're able to drone things out early, or rather just make a better call on their strategy. Whereas before, droning out things early on was kind of a risk. Losing those drones early and not being able to utilize them for your own info game once you're actually on the map was just not the best thing in the world. So now that we have that, there's a real reason to have those drones that hold so much value utilized early on, and we're going to see it here yet again. It's going to be almost a direct take for Oxygen as of right now as they wrap and coil themselves around this map. The drone game will spin up once again here to make sure that they know exactly where these Astralis members are.
Yeah, but no surprises in terms of where the clear from OXG is being directed towards here. Definitely trying to flush out that Library position. A few other members of Astralis realizing that there's not going to be much from the Solarium side. They're going to be free to rotate from their office and bathroom spots a little bit closer to support that Library extension, meaning that OXG is going to have their work cut out for them just to get this one single room under their control. That's not even counting all the work that still needs to be done to move back down below it onto the 1st floor where the actual sites we played into. First, those phone calls going to come out from the Dokkaebi, and it leads into a 1-to-1 exchange with both Dream as well as J90 picking up frags from either side. Newers as well as Iconic fall from either team, and those are 2 of the big fraggers going down here, leaving the rest of the squads to fight it out here with the remaining half of the round.
And interestingly enough, Iconic actually falls inside of side. I don't know how exactly that one ended up breaking down, but either way, we're into the 4 versus 4 now. Shuttle with some pretty fantastic positioning here towards office. Will be able to keep things slow and steady on this top floor clear if that's what Oxygen so chooses. Still have, I believe, 1 phone call in the back of Laxing's pocket. Has a smoke grenade as well that he can try and use against this bar stock position. Make it to where J90 can't see as clearly. Go for a potential plant here later on, but still so much to do around this space with what Astralis is able to occupy in the current moment. Yes, DP Fire has some damage on himself, but past that, the longer Oxygen takes, the more Astralis is able to add to this puzzle, especially for J90's sake.
Foxy sneaking in from down below, trying to see if he can get free clearance of the opening lobby here. Now he's going to actually lean himself into a site take as well. Finds an open Dream as well. Gets another opening kill from the back window over by Billiards. Foxay pinching out the player holding the site connector. Beautifully done by him as J90 goes down. And the player count from Astralis continues to dwindle. Forest suddenly left alone in a 1v4. No ability to stop the plant from going down. And cutoffs are already established. He'll try to lurk back in. Nearly gets the planter actually. As never mind, the cutoffs are not there. Reads into this peak from Laxing. Beautifully done so far by Forest. But he's got a lot more kills to get. And only about 20 seconds or so to get on the counter defuse. Players now on Repel. They're going to be moving upstairs in order to establish post plants. It's just too much, too quickly. And Forest goes down, giving OXG the opening round.
Difficult round there for Astralis as Oxygen don't play into their strategy at all. Astralis is extended all the way out towards the master space, but more towards office when it comes to Shuttle's positioning there. And he ends up just getting decimated. There's really nothing that he can do. He doesn't actually get in front of Oxygen in the slightest inside of that positioning. And really Astralis' top hold really not playing too well into that either. Oxygen able to exchange 1-for-1, but past that, they're able to get things to go off without a hitch, eventually getting it down to a 4 versus 1. And yes, we see Forrest get a kill, but it's just an exit frag. It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. He's stuck inside a fireplace hall, and Oxygen are able to get everyone out of the site and get that plant down in pretty convincing fashion.
Great reads and great drone usage once again from OXG, specifically Fox able to utilize that quick little sneak in from the snowmobile garage to get himself up through the main stairs and sneak in to add a secondary angle to that pinch. Might have not ultimately have been needed either, but just a good insurance policy to make sure that the players that were getting flushed out from the front side of bar did not escape to potentially contribute to the retake later on in the round. Away from that, it is going to be a solid start from OXG and a couple of repicks being aligned in there, so we'll see some slight changes to their lineup as they once again spawn onto the board as they look for a second round, this time of course against a kitchen hold though.
Lax will keep the Dokkaebi, and Dream and Vert will slot in as their respective operators. The more fun one to talk about has got to be the Knock. We've seen her a little bit earlier on with some strategies from SSG on their attacker repicks, but looks like Oxygen wants to try and put a feather in their own cap here. So we'll see what Vertical can possibly get done with this. This is also going to garner them quite a few frag grenades, and we know how important those have been in the recent history of Rainbow Six Siege's competitive play.
DP Fire still playing into that extended position. You'll notice though way less utility supporting his position this time. Just a single reinforced wall, and that's not going to do much with a nade. In fact, it helps him in this case. Foxay banking it off of that wall and knocking out DP Fire as he goes down for the second time so far with no kills to respond to his deaths. Phone call is going to come out also here as OXG are starting to take some serious control of the map away from Astralis as they get prepared to take full control of the second floor and eventually make the descension down onto the site. Another member of the Astralis roster going to get dropped, this time by Laxing, and it's iconic, down again as well.
How deep of a cut was that from Laxing? Was he all the way downstairs for Big Garage? I think that's where he got that kill. That was intense, if I can say so myself. I mean, Oxygen seemingly aware of every move that Astralis is going to make at that point, if that's actually how that ends up breaking down. But either way, Oxygen, they've gotten so much for the drones that they've given up for the situation. Only 3 drones down. Laxing using up his last phone call as well, and 1 minute and 20 seconds still remain for them to get some things done. Laxing will finally be pinched out inside of Garage, but this is almost too little too late at this point as Oxygen still has a 4-3 lead.
Astralis still with a little bit of presence up on the second floor, specifically above their site, closer towards Solarium room in the office or bedroom more than likely. So not fully done just yet from that position, and that's more than likely what's holding up OXG. That and their inability to knock out players like Forrest, who are still trying to swing wildly and do some serious damage like we just saw against Foxay. He goes down to a sliver of HP. J90 will be found out over here inside of the trophy stairs. So they're aware of his angle and will be trying to avoid that, but time is continuing to get lower and lower here for Oxygen, running out of capability to force these players out. But of course, look above you, look at that blue silhouette quickly encroaching on J90's position. It's going to be Vertical lurking in here, trying to deal with that issue and prevent any potential fallbacks from Astralis at the same time. The help presence indicator, you guys can see that gray camera. That means that Vertical is not going to be seen while this is going on. He disables it. Camera might have caught it, but no. Free pick as he goes down and finds J90. And on top of that, the plant has been put onto the ground as well. Beautiful work once again from Oxygen, and now it's going to fall to Forest and Shuttle to clutch. One's already dead. Shuttle's found a trade. He gets the second one, so we're not done just yet as it goes to into a 1v2, but Dream, quick on the trigger, pinches shut that attempt at a clutch, and succeeds in closing out the round for OXG.
This is day 2, and we're already calling these mid-round adjustments as a team that just picked up 2 people to play patiently and allow Vertical to make a play across the entirety of the top floor of Chalet. Extremely well done. I almost thought I was playing Metal Gear Solid there for a second as we saw Nock just slowly creep across that top floor and use her hell presence to the best of its ability. Fantastic patience from Oxygen, and what a trust they have in Vertical to achieve that as well.
Things continuing to go well for OXG. Not so much with the case from Astralis, as all aggressive early round attempts that they're making to get in the way of these attacks are for the most part failing. Only really trading out inside of the primary firefight that ultimately will decide the round, and not nearly enough to contend with the pressure coming in from OXG. Astralis will choose now a third site as they continue to rotate around, not feeling a retry on either of the ones they've already gone for. It's down into the depths of the basement, where they'll hopefully find their salvation in the first round of the map.
10 seconds to insertion.
We'll have to see what they can get done here. They'll have Shuttle on the Vigil, so this is already telling the tale of a roam game coming to fruition here for Astralis, and that's going to be extended out by Iconic and J9 as well with their respective operators. Past that, Force will more than likely be allocated to site duty with DP Fire, trying to slow things up around the map. Could dedicate some of these Banshees towards site to make things easier on Forest, or it could just dedicate them around the map for info and possibly easier gunfights for their roamers. We'll just have to see. He already has all 3 of his down, so these engagements for Oxygen opening up the Solarium windows here on the north side. Could be starting off with a bag, just depending on what these angles are over towards this end. And speaking of angles, I already have one opened here for Garage, as Oxygen have used their can opener already, or actually something else. Actually, no, I take it back. Foxy does indeed get 2 of those, so apologies about that.
So they'll have that open, and that'll be the first point of access for OXG. Much like the previous 2 rounds, they'll expect a bit of a slow wind-up here as they try to build their intel game while the round goes onwards. Only 3 drones have been knocked out so far, so still plenty of additional ones to chuck into this setup here. And in the meanwhile, Astralis also trying to set up their own positions to counter out some of this action here, specifically Shuttle, as well as Iconic trying to pinch out pressure towards the trophy side, but not aligning too well so far with the actions of OXG, as they're focusing once again on trying to work their way in through the side door, it looks like, with a few players outside of those trophy windows, and Newers, of course, working on the side door itself by getting access to there and now establishing a cutoff from the side stairs.
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty scared for Astralis in this position as of right now. It almost seems as though Oxygen are going to have the capability to flood the site and take out Forest here, mostly because of the info that they're starting to garner inside of this area as well. I mean, he is inside of blue, so he'll have a rotation that he can possibly use, but with this swing right here, that's going to be a kill of Forest. They do have someone inside of the connector, though. I saw someone drop inside. That's going to be the Mozzie, but J9's dead, and so is DP Fire. Lack's going to be the first to fall from Oxygen, and his Newers picks up yet another kill. It's a 4 versus 1 going into Iconics. Well, not really favor in the moment, as he will try and open up the floorboards, finds the man, downs the man as well, and cleans it up with the secondary. A Nitro Cell down, but Foxay's up top with the buck. He will clean up.
Have a quick enough rotate to be able to counter that back out. So good stuff from Oxygen, catching these small little holes in the defense and just ripping them wide open to try and take full control of these rounds.
You ever just stacked with your friends inside of an FPS for like the very first time, and you kind of know something about the game? You ever done that before?
I don't have any friends. So.
Well, I'm your friend, John. But we don't really stack on FPSs very often. But there's a rule.
Just pretend I do.
Yeah. So just for sake of conversation, whenever that does happen, usually the first discussion that's had is like, listen, as long as we do things together, that's really all that has to happen, right? Is no matter how stupid of an idea it is, as long as we do it as a team, we have a chance. And that's exactly one of those moments. Not that what Oxygen did is stupid, it's the fact that they're all on the same page. We're just gonna have 3 people run through the same door. Forrest, please attempt to fight all of us. It's not gonna work out for you. So it's just very well done from Oxygen, trusting each other and just respecting the call of what's going on with the situation instead of somebody going off and doing their own thing and screwing it up for the rest of the team.
Yeah, doesn't really seem like that trust necessarily there just yet for Astralis, so they're going to work on trying to reestablish it for themselves as they go to the second rotation of sites. It does look like they are going to just make a straight rerun of the first 3 that they played, so we, of course, are back on bar as a direct result of that. Flashes here against J9O are going to be far too powerful. He has to jump down the hatch very quickly. That gives up interior library control, but you still have the power position from DP Fire just outside of it, and you still have another member, I believe Iconic, playing at the top of blue stairs. So we're not done just yet, or actually have not taken that upstairs control, as a bit more work still needs to be done.
I am a little scared right now for Astralis yet again, as that frag grenade, it was coming in. But, I mean, I would say a sixth sense, but it already happened to him. So it was more of a flashback in that moment of the frag grenade coming in off of Ego balcony. Drones out for Oxygen as they're trying to find the remainder of these Astralis members. But Astralis will find them instead. And not only that, but they'll take down Newers. Hasn't had the greatest game in comparison to what he was able to accomplish yesterday, but still a huge pick for Astralis.
It's a passive hold here from Astralis, giving up these positions a little bit earlier. So far, that's working out well for them. Obviously putting them into a little bit of a claustrophobic scenario in terms of where they can play out the rest of this round, but as long as they can maintain it, they're in good straits right now, especially now that they've brought it down to a 5v4. And you can see there's other problems here for OXG to deal with. 2 more players down the piano hallway as he lurks around the corner, and it's still, you have that one additional player playing at the bottom of blue, or more the top of blue right now.
Oh,
that's
what
also
a
going to
shot.
become problematic. The yellow ping out against Foxay, but Forrest is not giving it early enough to adjust to it. Foxay now tries to pressure Iconic out of his blue stairs position, but he's long gone, as you can see, already given it up and fallen back into the depths of the site, or rather the basement now, as he goes all the way back downstairs.
And Oxygen able to maintain the drone economy through all of this as well. It's something that you and I were seeing time and time again from SSG on their offenses, and Oxygen able to replicate this on Chalet. So they have some info going in these last 40 seconds here to possibly pick up the remainder of these Astralis members. J9 in a pretty pivotal position here at the back of bar stock, but you can say the same about Shuttle. He'll swing into the main library hallway and lose his life to Vertical, holding things down. But now Vert, he's been down in DP Fire. Can he get things done? Oh my! He slaps Laxine off the face of the earth. J9 still holding things down inside of sight as well, but Astralis, they still might lose the round. DP Fire, he's on low HP. It's going to take a singular bullet, and Vertical will get it done after he gets picked back up. Everyone just giggling after that round. Laxine especially just gobsmacked off the balcony. And just, what the heck was that?
Laxine literally typing wow after that shot hits him there. For anybody that managed to miss it, we might catch it on the replay right here. Well, what an adjustment from DP Fire. Unfortunately, the only kill he's gotten so far inside of this game, but what a kill it was, as the rest of OXG, though, have no problem clearing out the rest of that defensive setup. And once again, off of the backs of their great intel and follow-up upon that intel into execution, they claim a 4th round.
I mean, if it's your only kill, I guess you made it flashy, and
yeah,
that's what I care about. You know, you ever seen like the old phase ill-cams, like the trick shotting and all that stuff?
Yeah.
You know how many times that you have to fail and kill yourself on a map in order to actually get one of those things? It's like the exact same thing, right? Like, you try a million times, and sometimes it turns out pretty cool, and that happens to be one of those scenarios for DP Fire. Hopefully it's a little bit more than that, though, as Astralis definitely does not want to lose this 1-0, map score line early on inside of the stage. They would love to take this map off of Oxygen, but as of right now, they seem indomitable on this offensive side.
So some slight changes on the attacker repick. The biggest one is going to be Vertical, who had initially selected a Nook, wanting to potentially use that again to sneak back through the upper Solarium side, but instead he's going to probably go for a little bit more of a comfortable pick onto the Twitch here, which I believe we saw him hold that on the previous round as well. So just going to make a return to that and hide it initially in order to give him a comfortable start, and it's going to be a very comfortable start apparently, as OXG spamming in, it looks like, from the front side of the building, is going to be able to knock out J9 with Newers claiming that opening kill.
Now, poor J9, Newers coming back with a vengeance in the opening 30, not to really be expected by anyone inside of the building. Now DP Fire under fire here in Library. He'll add some more Wamai discs to the equation, a drone in to confirm the position as well, as he'll get hard pinged. Foxay pinching, and I don't believe they have any inkling of this either. DP Fire, an easy pickup for him, and now Shuttle. So much damage done as Foxay, he's just reading them like a book, pre-firing through the wall, the audio capabilities of this man, as he knows somebody's around that library stairs space. Vertical will take down yet another, and Astralis worse for wear.
I mean, no harbor is safe right now for Astralis. Is the biggest issue for them. They just have no support to follow up on their positions here. Yeah, the occasional kill or two sneaking out, as we see Shuttle get away with one there on the Nitro cell. That's going to finally trade out Vertical, but that's it. That's really all we're getting. There's been nothing else built on top of this. 1 to 2 kills we might see Astralis straight out in the midst of the round here, because, you know, as we just see here, OXG is crushing every single other individual 1v1 that comes out. And that's a large part of the problem here too. Astralis don't really seem to have great trade setups because they're constantly being caught mid-transition. And look at this. And sometimes they're not even seeing their opponent, man. Just getting overwhelmed with nades. What can you do about that?
You can tell me if I'm wrong. You really can. But does this not look like the most comfortable Oxygen you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, yeah.
They
They're looking great.
They look fantastic. I can't think of another time as of right now where things are going off so well and there's not a single hitch. Even when they lose bodies, it doesn't seem like they're really worried about it. It seems like they still have an opportunity to pick up rounds. And yes, this is kind of a far cry from what we saw yesterday on Theme Park, where there were some back and forth rounds. But even now, I mean, OXG are still making the plays inside of the rounds. They're not taking easy street. They're calling these audibles, and they're really taking it to these Astralis defenses.
Important to note, obviously playing against TSM yesterday, also a team with a lot more capability, I think, to fire back in some of these crazier situations. So getting better control over it certainly leads us into belief as to why that matchup was a little bit closer. But OXG, now that we go back to familiar territory in a map that has been in the pool for some time, they're going to be crushing it here. And to highlight a bit of a stat while we are in the prep phase, still Foxay yet to die.
Yes.
At 7-0 right now, with 3 assists on top of that.
And past that, you have Vertical at 9-2.
Yep.
I mean, these are stats from Vert we haven't seen in what feels like millennia. It's fantastic to have him back in this capacity, and hopefully it continues for Oxygen, as this has always been a team that I've really appreciated watching, no matter the iteration. So now round 6 up and on here for Oxygen, as they're looking to take a clean offensive half. Astralis, they're headed to bar stock here yet again, or rather bar games, in order to try and lock up their very first defense in the last defensive round.
Vertical already establishing a cutoff for anybody that might try to rotate back from the library side. Not going to be able to catch them just yet, or rather rotate back from the Solarium side would be the more relevant one inside of this specific round. It's going to go well for him, too, as he's able to not only pick up a kill, but open up a window for Foxay to pressure forward, downing Forest in the process. Take him a second, of course. Somehow those shots. You got him? There you go. All right, good job, Foxay. Just took him a minute. It's all good. Taking down Forest. And now bringing it down to a 5v3. Before this round even really gets started here, they're going to figure out the position of a third one fairly close to the window the Vertical's playing behind as well. So good intel going out towards him, and DP Fire losing another third of his own HP. Things just continue to get worse and worse, it seems, on the Astralis side. But finally, they're going to be able to fire back as J9 gets a good fight going against Newers and brings it down to a 3v4.
And Newers is tied up for the most deaths on the team, but it's only 4. That's the thing past that. Astralis have not been able to get things going when it comes to the frag department, but now it seems like they're starting to warm up. Some big kills coming through, and Astralis with the possibility of their first defense here in round 6. A 3-2 lead right now inside of the man advantage. Dream and Vertical to step up to the plate, and Dream, he'll be able to collect one. The case is on him as well with a Jackal track upstairs. He'll know that DP Fire is around the space, but not before Vertical goes down. It's up to Dream to clutch this out now. Does he have enough time to get this case down? He's going to fake things out. Some paper sprays wide here on the bar door as the Astralis member will rotate around to the opposite side and try and assist his teammate. Although J9 really not needing it in the moment. He'll take him down, and Astralis will finally slow down Oxygen.
OXG getting a little bit too confident, I think, as we got into the mid phase of that round, specifically the push from the outside balcony over towards the power positions being played in from library, trying to force the issue there, despite being concussed and otherwise still having a lot of utility to deal with. That's where I think, or rather OXG started to turn things around against their own favor and gave up a bit too much control, allowing for Astralis to win those crucial gunfights and build up the pressure they needed to win out this round. So finally they come onto the board on their third run inside of the bar site, but it's going to be the only round they're able to take with them to the second half, as now they're on the attacking side. Still 4 rounds down to Oxygen's scoreline. Meanwhile, OXG just needs a simple 2 out of the remaining 6 to take control of this matchup.
All right, well, as we switch sides here, Oxygen will be headed downstairs for what could be their second to last defense. We'll just have to see how Astralis' offenses start to build up. We're using that attacker repick, but it's not going to be in such a convincing way as we'd seen other teams use it. This is simply going to be a hard breach exchange for Forest, as Habana will go away and Thermite will come in.
We do have a little bit of a dangerous situation right now in the stat department for OXG. Laxing, unfortunately, has not been able to fire out so well inside of this game, at least compared to yesterday's. But keep in mind, again, the area where we see him contribute quite a bit more often is on that defensive side. So if he's able to come alive even more so here, and we continue to see the success from players like Vertical, who have already been having quite themselves the ball game, and Foxay as well, then things should be a fairly easy closeout for OXG. But if not, that's a big piece of the puzzle that was absolutely relevant to yesterday's match that is suddenly going to go missing here should Laxing continue to struggle.
Well, the north clear for Astralis as they'll repel on the Solarium windows. J9 takes a couple of tags out of the T95 here. Foxay He's going to actually spring too as well as they attempt to hunt him down. Not going to have Jackal available to them, so won't have tracking capabilities on Foxay. They'll simply have to try and attempt to follow his tailcoats, but he's going to skimper off to the other end of the map and play out his life. Some drone utility, or drone info rather, coming through for Astralis now for the site setup, but this is pretty plain Jane when it comes down to it. It's just a deployable shield on the opposite side of Wine with some ADSs allocated to the space.
Astralis continue to drone things out here as far as the basement setup is concerned. We're going to see pretty heavy emphasis on just defending this site itself and not trying to mess around too much with extended play up on the first or second floor. And yours mainly just trying to catch anyone who might be a little bit too adventurous and try to initially swing the main stairs down into the basement, but not going to see that transpire anytime soon. We can see a big buildup of Astralis players over here towards the back wine wall. One of them is going to run into at least a single goo mine there, giving a little bit of an audio cue over to the members of OXG, but not something that they were probably already aware of, as we can see Hardbreach going to go down onto the wine wall and potentially give this team access if they do want to try and work themselves forward. The utility's been dealt with, the mute jammer's been knocked away, and the wall is open. The pressure now on against OXG as they have to fend off this push.
There's a huge difference between what Oxygen was able to create on their offenses and what we lie at currently for Astralis, and it's the picks. Astralis don't have a single kill nor any damage dealt to Oxygen. They've been able to keep every single member alive, and look what they'll be able to do now. Although these walls are busted, they still have the capability to lock things up. Dream with the M590, he'll go for the play, but it's a pre-fire here. Swings wide as a nade starts to come in as well. Oxygen will lose their first member, and Foxay, capability to play spoils in this position, right outside of the blue door. Has so many members of his team trying to assist in these angles right now as Astralis has to look to flood.
It's a great comm as well, as we saw that flood come out from Dream. I believe the players over here by the back stairs were able to catch it. Laxing picks up the first exchange from the Oxygen side of things, but so far it's going to remain the only one as Jane I know immediately trades it back out against Foxay. 2 remain for OXG. It's up to Laxing and Nuras to clutch this one out or try to prevent the plant. Only 18 seconds remain. They do not have an angle on the planter. Forrest is going to get it down on the ground, so now our timer flips in the other direction, and the members of Oxygen fall to only 1. It's Nuras alone in a 1v4. No access to the site either, currently stuck inside of the snowmobile garage. Does have some soft panel breaches to try and take a few fights through, and oh, what a first fight being taken indeed. Forrest goes down, but the problem remains. 3 additional players need to be knocked out, and he has no clue where they are playing from. Might be a small amount of post-death intel coming in from his 4 other teammates off of cams, but it's really just going to be what happened inside of the fight that'll have to play off of here. They'll give him access to the diffuser, is able to get on for the fake, but his HP is just far too low to take that fight versus Shuttle. He goes down to him, and another round is found for Astralis.
Scary moment there for Oxygen. I mean, Dream especially, almost on the precipice of a clutch if he was able to get that M590 play to work out inside of the trench hallway, but just so much gunfire. Practically like cannon fodder at that point. I mean, so many people shooting down that hall, just not impossible for him to really take that gunfight in the moment. So unfortunate for Oxygen, but they will give up their first defense as Astralis attempts to climb out of this hole, and actually doing it in a pretty convincing way. It's down to the patience of their execute, waiting for Oxygen to overextend themselves, and that's exactly what they get.
So OXG starting to lose their edge just a tad here as of these past 2 rounds. Finally, Astralis able to catch on to the more aggressive tendencies of this team on both the attacking and defensive side. Now the question becomes, will Oxygen read into this, try to cool themselves off a little bit, or find another solution, whether it's going to be roaming flanks or something else to try and capitalize on Astralis' big buildup of players that they're using to brute force their way into the site. At least as of the first round, things could be very different, of course, as we move to a much different site where OXG is no longer going to be able to play into a bunker setup. They do have to extend upstairs and split their defensive setup quite a bit.
Wow, for Oxygen, pretty interesting for this top floor for the moment. Astralis will have to try and clear this out, especially for Shuttle's sake, as the verticality here plays so well into this site. To see what Astralis wants to do with this. Looks like they're starting on the Solarium side yet again here, so we're going to have some contention out of the Oxygen team. Definitely going to have this extended hold out here towards the library as of right now. But past that, not too much going on the map. Just waiting for Astralis to make their first move as they're allocating themselves towards the windows.
So I'm going to continue to see time trickle down here for both squads, and OXG as well. Solid as a rock at this point, not shifting an inch unless they have to. They really want to try and trap the members of Astralis on their way in, and it's not going to happen. Instead, it's Foxay that gets thrown into a trap as he tries to hop down to what he assumed was going to be safer harbors inside of the trophy room, but instead, someone else from Astralis already has Overwatch for that exact position. flushes him right into the crosshairs of that player and knocks Foxy out without a single point of damage traded.
It was a pretty unfortunate position for him as the nade comes in from Iconic. It almost seemed like he could have outlived it, but it probably would have been quite a bit of damage given the circumstances. And now Vertical with a pretty nice frag, but Iconic to able to fend him off instead. Everyone trying to work their way back towards this top space, but not really able to find any Astralis bodies, whereas all of Oxygen's have fell. It's down to Dream now inside as he's holding fast inside of Kitchen right behind the island.
Drone from Iconic is constantly chasing Dream also, so they're very actively aware of his position. This should be a pretty straightforward closeout from Astralis and at them a third round, but Dream, of course, still going to try to put up a fight, but another setup and basically bunkered into it. The wall's way too weak and way too easy for Astralis to open over on the wine side, giving them pretty much every single angle they could potentially look into in order to get access to that site, and Oxygen obliged. Oxygen peeked out, tried to take a fight. Dream did at least there, and unfortunately, it did not work out for him as he was countered out from the angles over on the stairs. We are going to see a very interesting pick coming in here as Laxing will finally bring a Thorn in for OXG side. We've also got our community poll results there, just barely edging it out for the members of Astralis.
Laxing not able to edge
cold
out
enough.
Iconic. Yeah, just not cold enough.
4% colder. Or warmer, I guess.
Are we talking Fahrenheit or Celsius? That's real.
That's a
could go to
question.
Kelvin.
Yeah.
Go to Kelvin. We can throw everybody for a loop around the world.
It's a lovely 206 Kelvin day today.
But honestly, I mean, can you give it up? For Iconic, especially. I mean, especially after what we saw from him yesterday, it's almost to be expected inside of that poll. But now with round 9 on the docket here, folks, let's see what Astralis are capable of and what Iconic can possibly get done here. Not really too much from him early on. We actually got a good read on Shuttle and what he's got going on around the garage space. He'll open up the snowmobile panel and start looking to see if anyone's down around this area, and he can potentially work this going forward.
That'll keep the option open as well to make the move that Foxy made back in round number 1, where he snuck in from that same position and was able to basically act as a pinch for anyone that the main push from outside of the windows was going to be able to force outside
walked in the
of
bar
the bars.
door.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And he killed 2 players retreating in the process as well.
So killed the guy in bar stock too. They just pinched him out. It was fantastic.
So it should work out fairly well if Shuttle's able to leverage it. He's going to be able to deal with the barbed wire as he moves himself forward and reconfirms. A bit of a flood flash coming out there, but it is going to connect onto Foxy as it does not get eaten up. But either way, not a big deal as the pressure is not boiling out against him just yet. Iconic calls at least one other member of this team. Looks like Forest still trying to build up the confidence to work their way in. Forest, though, is focused a little bit more on the actual site and the crosses that could come from that. Iconic is going to be focusing a bit more on the clear for Foxy, but looks like he's got actually a pretty clean slate right now. Not too much being built up against him, so he's going to have a lot of freedom potentially inside of the late round. I say that, but now Shuttle, we saw him before playing from down below. He's rotated up on top, and I think he's going to try to assist with Forest here in clearing out this position inside of the library.
They have one more chance to try and burn out all of this. It's going to take all 3 stuns as well as a frag grenade, and actually that might already be done. I believe there was an ADS under the window, and yes, he's got 3 of those discs, so that means that they can pick up everything they have to throw into this position. Foxy's going to get the kill on Forest, just simply hopping inside of the window. He'll pick up Shuttle as well as Astralis is just trying to throw themselves at the Oxygen members. Foxy now knowing that one's inside of the space as well. Iconic's just going to give him the business. It's a triple kill now for actually Dream instead. I take it all back. I thought that was Foxy inside of this position, but might have had something else go on here. And actually it is, so I don't know exactly what happened there with the little overlay, but either way, it's Foxy going off in the moment. I'm going to have one of the air jabs eaten up here as he's practically won the round for Astralis just standing inside of Library.
It's working out really well for these two upstairs, and you got to give massive credit to Dream, not just for the kills, but for the way that he's able to keep Foxy in that position. What's up?
No, I'm pretty sure that Foxy's gotten all the kills.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
he's gotten every single one of them.
Either way, Foxy sitting himself up inside of that position there. Dream doing a fantastic job of helping him out with those toxic babes and really keeping some of that pressure off him. We're going to see that Razor Claw go off, but it's not really going to do much damage to Jane. I know because he get his waltz right past it. The problem, though, is Nurs has the counter to his angle, and well, yes, there's going to be a few more exchanges as the teams volley back and forth. It still falls, as you guys might have expected at home, into the favor of OXG with that definitive fight pretty much deciding it upstairs on the inside of Library.
A little back and forth there as Foxy, he's going to let him know a little bit there on the bench. Astralis and especially Iconic, they just love talking, man. And that's what I love about esports overall. When teams are vocal and after you win that round, you're giving the other team some crap. That's the best thing about esports for me personally. I love the competition. I love the vibes that NAL has given this year with all of these teams. There hasn't been a single quiet bench. I hate it when you guys are a quiet bench. You are inside of practically a stadium. You're in an arena. Just have fun. That's what this is meant to do. It's a competition. Say your piece. It's always a good time. So for Oxygen, now feeling themselves after that last round, and the dynamic duo of Dream and Foxay getting away with a lot there. Either way, it broke down. I don't know if it was Dream getting the kills or Foxay getting the kills. It was just a whole cluster inside of that space.
All right, well, let's see if Oxygen can seal the deal now that they've figured out the formula to win on this defensive side. A few changes coming in. We are going to see them add a little bit more intel to the Astralis lineup. The one from Forest, just a stylistic change of hard breach, but of course Zero is going to be brought in for DP Fire instead to add that additional intel. This is an operator we talked about during the ban phase, about how Oxygen had been definitely seen using him quite a bit on this map, as well as other ones like Bank, but it seems like Astralis are going to find more use out of him inside of this situation.
Yes, indeed. And Zero, as you're saying, out and about now. See if some of the info game could possibly help out Astralis. Not too much of a change up across the board, though, there for them, as Oxygen will be transitioning through the map and setting up some more utility. And don't worry, folks, that is indeed just on our side. It'll flash in and out every once in a while, but it's not for the players, so they're not going to be affected on any angle inside of the map. So we're still good to try and progress forward and see if Oxygen is going to win this in 7-3 fashion.
Let's see here now if indeed it can be done from the Oxygen side of things. You'll notice Astralis are following up much more slowly this time on their initial clears as well, only really just popping open a few windows and establishing crosses, not really trying to actively clear anyone out, which is a bit of a contrast compared to what we had been seeing in the previous few rounds. Things are continuing to look good for OXG as their defenses have barely been tested. That is going to finally start to change here, however. As you can see, a few of those red silhouettes starting to build out over towards Ego, and on top of that, on the outside of Library also, they're going to look to eventually make the swing through Piano and into Office. Might just bypass Piano, of course. You're seeing Forest open up the wall directly into Office now. So let's see if they're going to be able to build up enough of the confidence and, more importantly, positioning to make this swing.
Well, the timer's starting to eat at Astralis now, although they've made some solid headway. Working their way towards Eagle Balcony door here, able to hold that down, as well as the Piano window already occupied. Newer's worried about somebody eventually rotating towards the Master window as well. It could be a pretty easy kill for them if Astralis is able to get there, but as of right now, only able to tag up these Oxygen members going into the last minute.
Last minute indeed here. Once again, relatively inactive round compared to the ones that we had played out before this. You can see one member of Astralis crawling through. Not sure if there's an actually accessible wall at that point, but yeah, Foxay is going to be able to edge out this first kill. Yours as well. It's fallen apart too quickly here for Astralis. Shuttle as well as J90 have gone down. Still a lot of utility available here for the attackers to utilize, as Iconic is still going to have two of those adrenal surges. A little bit too quickly, though, as DP Fire gets his health bled down by Foxay, encroaching on a flank from the blue side, and there you go. It's a flawless round from Oxygen to shut it down once again. Neuros is ecstatic about this. This team's just been having a ball game in their first two matches here for the NAL season, and look at it.
Hey, Foxay getting down, showing Iconic.
He's yelling out.
Good. Oh, man. Fantastic.